everyone, welcome or welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be reading two very anticipated books for me. These are books that have been very popular on booktube and booktok over the last few months. I've owned them both for a while and I've been putting them off, but today's video is time for me to finally read these two books. The books we're going to be reading in this video are Powerless by Lauren Roberts and Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. I've already read them. I'm filming this intro after I finish the video. Obviously I'm not going to tell you my thoughts on them now. I will let them become clear in the video itself. But I just wanted to tell you what my predictions were for these before I went into them. First of all, I'll tell you a bit about what the books are about. I'll tell you how much I expected to like them, and then I will go back to past me actually reading the books. So first of all, Powerless. This is a fantasy book, but it's got like dystopian undertones to it. It's got like kind of slight Hunger Games vibes, but it's a fantasy book. And I am a Hunger Games girl, so as soon as I heard the Hunger Games, I was like, get this on my shelves right now. I need to read it. So basically we follow a girl called Payden and a boy called Kai. It's dual POV. Kai is a prince. Payden lives in what they call like the slums. That's like the horrible name for it. It's actually a place called Lou, but she lives on the streets. And there is this competition that happens called the trials, where people are selected to go into them. And I can't even remember what the winner gets. I can't remember. The winner gets something and Payden finds herself in these trials. So that is the premise of Powerless, and I expected to love this. I'm not giving away anything now, whether I did or I didn't, but going in I like kind of knew in my head, I was like, this is surely going to be like a 6-star read, like surely I'm going to love this. And I'll leave it there so you can watch the video and see how I ended up feeling about it. The next book is Divine Rivals, and this is a different vibe to Powerless. Before I read this, I had heard from a lot of people that it's definitely a slower kind of vibe. It's not the same kind of fast-paced trials. This is set in a war between two of the gods in their world, and we've got our two characters, Iris and Roman. They work together at the local newspaper and they are rivals, hence the name Divine Rivals. They are like workplace rivals, but make it fantasy and set in a war. Obviously I won't say anything more about what happens in the story after that. I expected to like this, but I didn't expect to be obsessed with it. Out of the two, I definitely thought I was going to prefer Powerless before I went into them. And yeah, I'm not going to say any more. Maybe I did prefer Powerless, maybe I prefer Divine Rivals. Who knows? I mean, I know, but you don't know because you've not watched the video yet. So I'm going to stop talking now and just get on with the vlog portion of this video. Just had a bath, so excuse the appearance. I am in my pyjamas. But the first book that we are going to read for this video is Powerless by Lauren Roberts. Obviously you'll know from the thumbnail that we're going to read Divine Rivals and Powerless in this video. But we're going to start with Powerless just because this is the one that I've been kind of anticipating for the longest. I can't, my hair looks so bad, I'm so sorry. This is the one I've been anticipating the longest. I've been so excited to read this. As soon as someone mentioned that this had Hunger Games vibes, I was alright, I'm on it. Because if there's one thing about me, it's that I'm a Hunger Games girl. Through and through. I'm obsessed with the Hunger Games. So yeah, as soon as someone said this had any kind of Hunger Games element, I was like, I need to read it. But I've been waiting. I've owned this copy for a few months and it's been so painful putting it off. But I have been waiting because I didn't want to leave too big of a gap between this and the next one coming out. So I thought this is a sensible time to read it. The novella comes out, I think it's this month, and then the next full-length novel comes out in a couple of months. So I was like, we can read this now. I have started it. As I said, I was so excited before going into this. I've really been missing dystopia. I just love dystopia. The Hunger Games, Divergent, obsessed. I am now, how far in am I? I'm on chapter 16 at the minute, so I'm like just over 100 pages in, and I am enjoying it. Am I as obsessed as I thought I would be at this point? No. I am. It's not that I'm not liking it. I am liking it. I'm having a good time. But it's just, I don't know how to explain it. I was trying to think before I filmed this clip of like what I was going to say. I don't want to say it's slow because it isn't. Like, we're constantly on the move, things are constantly happening. It isn't slow. But I feel like every kind of interaction is not over-explained, just explained a lot. We are kind of, I don't know how to explain it. We're not like doing lots of quick little interactions like every interaction the main character has, whether it's with Kai or anyone else, feels like we spend quite a lot of time in each one, if that makes sense, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's not info dumpy, it's not slow, it's just, yeah, it's a long book and the font is very small. I am going between the physical copy and audio because, like, look how small the font is and how thick the book is. There's a lot of words in here. So yeah, I am switching between this and the audio just to give my eyes a break from looking at this small font. But yeah, I am having a good time. I'm excited to get to the trials because the thing that I was the most looking forward to, that's not grammatically correct, the thing that I was most looking forward to in this was the tension between Payden and Kai. And right now, I'm not feeling the tension. I'm feeling the attraction, but I'm not feeling the tension because I was under the impression this was a bit more of like an enemies to lovers, knife to the throat, and like, yeah, she does put her knife to his throat right near the beginning, but like he's smirking at her and like flirting with her while she does it. So I feel like that it's not really the tension I was expecting, but the trials haven't started yet. So I feel like maybe when the trials begin, maybe that will help kind of add in a bit of tension. I don't know, we will see. Obviously I will keep you updated on this. I am hoping to get it read. Ideally I would like to finish it by the end of tomorrow, but I mean, I'm really not very far in. So I'm not sure how realistic that is, but yeah, I will keep you updated on this and we will see if I get a bit more obsessed with it. I have just literally 2 minutes ago finished Powerless by Lauren Roberts, and I don't know how to feel. The problem is that I feel nothing, and based on everything that happened in this book I should feel something, and I just kind of don't, and I don't know why. Because on paper Kai was saying all the right things, Payden was saying and doing all the right things for them to be a couple that I should love, but I felt nothing. I felt no tension between them, which is mad because there are definitely stakes between them in this book. But I think it was just that because at the beginning straight away he was already being flirtatious and it wasn't insta-love. By the end of this book, I won't spoil anything, but by the end of this book their relationship hasn't actually gone very far. Like, it's not, do you know what I mean? It's not a quick relationship at all, it's very slow. But because he was so flirty straight away, which is just his personality, some of it, because he was like that straight away, for me there was never any tension built. Even when they then went into the trials, I loved the, well, I'll get onto the trials in a minute. I think it's a bit hasty to say I loved them. I enjoyed the trials aspect, but it still didn't bring the amount of tension I was expecting. And even at the end, again, I won't spoil anything, even at the end with the thing that happens, a massive amount of tension should be built up and I'm still just not really feeling any. Like, I don't know what it is. I've been left excited for the next book. Like, I definitely want to carry on with this series. I definitely want to know what happens. But there's just something lacking and I can't quite put my finger on what it is. No. I just assumed this was going to be a 5-star, and maybe that is part of the problem. Maybe I've gone into this with too high expectations. It's been sitting on my shelves for a few months and I just kept looking at it thinking, oh, I'll get to that soon, like it's obviously going to be a 5-star. And it wasn't. I'm currently sitting, I can't decide between a 3.75 and a 4. I will update you on it at the end of this vlog when I've had a couple of days to kind of reflect on it. It's not that I didn't enjoy it, I loved it the whole way through. Despite it being quite thick with very small font, I've got through this in like 2 days and I am a slow reader. So I definitely got through it quick. I enjoyed reading it, it's intriguing, it had a good plot, but there's just something missing for me. So yeah, I think I'll probably end up giving it a 4. But yeah, I'm currently sitting between like a 3.75 and a 4. Just in general, the kind of premise and the trials and everything, I enjoyed the trials. I wish they had been a bit more fleshed out. The last one was well fleshed out, I think, but I wish the other two had been a little bit, just we'd spent a bit more time in them, I think. I wish they were a bit more kind of developed because obviously the trials is such a big part of the book. In terms of the comparisons to the Hunger Games, which everyone says this has Hunger Games vibes, it does, but I'm glad to say it's not just a copy of the Hunger Games. I've seen a few reviews saying that it is. For me it isn't. I think there are so many differences in here from the Hunger Games. There are a couple of things that are similar. The kind of trials games aspect, yes, that's similar, but they are different. It's a different setup. The first trial is similar in that it takes place in a forest, but it is different. It's not, for me, this is not just a carbon copy. The Imperials in this book are kind of like the peacekeepers from the Hunger Games, but that's just kind of any police type thing. Like it's not exclusive to just this and the Hunger Games. And yeah, other than that, there was some parallels, but again, if you're worried, if you love the Hunger Games as much as me and you're worried about reading this because you don't want it to just be a copy, it isn't. There's a way enough differences in here for this to stand as its own book, which I was very glad about. And as I said, I am very excited for the next one. I'm going to read the novella, I'm going to read the next novel. I think I am going to love this series. There was just something about this first book that just didn't quite hit as much as I thought it might. So the next book we're going to read for this video is Divine Rivals. I've got a few bits I need to do now. I need to like get the washing in and stuff. But then I'm going to have a nice bath and I'm going to start reading Divine Rivals. I think it's definitely going to be a different pace from this one. I'm expecting Divine Rivals to be a bit slower. Just yeah, like a different vibe. I'm only going to read the first book from the Divine Rivals duology in this video. I am hoping to get to the second one if I enjoy Divine Rivals later this month, so you'll see that in another vlog. But yeah, for this one we're just going to read Divine Rivals. Yeah, I think it's going to be quite different from this one, but I don't know. Like, I just assumed going into this video that I was going to be completely obsessed with this and that Divine Rivals was going to be like a cute 4-star. But now, like, I might end up preferring Divine Rivals. But I don't know. I don't want to go into that one now with too high expectations and be underwhelmed. I'm talking as if I dislike this book. I didn't dislike it at all. I really enjoyed it. It just didn't have as much as an impact as I thought it would. But anyway, let's pop this one aside for now. Please excuse the hair. I was just about to put a hair mask in and then I'm washing my hair, and it occurred to me I should probably film this clip before I put the hair mask in so I don't look even more kind of, you know, run down than I already do. I'm currently halfway through Divine Rivals and oh my god, I'm obsessed. I'm so obsessed. I thought I'd like it, but I'm obsessed with it. Like, it's giving 4.75 5-star read. It's so good. It's just got everything I want. It's got a romance, it's got fantasy, but it's not complicated to understand fantasy. And it's got like a historical fiction vibe because it's taking place in a war. And the war is fantastical. It's not like just a human war. It's got a lot of fantastical elements, but just the way that the book is written and just the way like the war and the circumstances are being described, it's given a historical fiction vibe rather than just like a fantasy war vibe. And I don't know how to explain it when I talk about historical fiction. I love it. I love reading it because obviously it's not nice to read, but I very much enjoy. I never know what word to use, but I do love historical fiction. I never like studied history past school, but I do really enjoy history. I'm very fascinated by history, and my kind of way of fulfilling that is by reading historical fiction, but I haven't read any in quite a while. So this book is kind of just scratching the itch. It's great. I'm obsessed. I love it so much. The way that it's written, it's beautiful but not flowery in an annoying way. It's not like, I don't know how to describe it. It's like I forgot every word in the English language, but basically I'm obsessed with Divine Rivals. I can't. It just got everything I want, just everything I would want in a book. It's got. The only reason it might not be like a full 5-star, it depends how this pans out and how I feel about it. But the premise of the book is basically, I'll have explained this earlier in the video, so I'll do a condensed version, but essentially part of the book is them writing letters to each other with the typewriters. He knows that it's Iris, but Iris doesn't know who she's writing to, and I never know how I feel about that in books. I don't mind, I like it when neither of them know and it's like a reveal, but I don't know how I feel about the fact that he knows it's her and she doesn't know it's him. We'll see how that pans out, because obviously I'm assuming she's going to find out that it's him and that she doesn't like him and whatever. So it just depends really how it's written and how that kind of conversation or potentially confrontation goes. But yeah, I'm obsessed. I love it so much. So yeah, I'm going to go pop a hair mask in, leave that in for a bit and then wash my hair. And while that is all marinating, I'm just going to sit and read Divine Rivals. I have now finished Divine Rivals. Excuse the appearance, I've just had a bath and I'm in the middle of getting ready for bed. It's the end of the day, I'm looking dishevelled. I've now finished Divine Rivals. I say now, I actually finished this like 3 days ago. I'm just filming this clip now for convenience. I ended up rating this 4.5 stars, but like it could actually be higher. The only reason I rated it 4.5 was just because of the ending. Won't spoil anything, I won't see what the ending was. But when it happened I was just a bit like, oh come on, like really? Do we need to do that? And I don't know, when I read the next book I might then love the ending of this one. It might lead on really nice into the next book. But I did just kind of roll my eyes like, oh for God's sake, really? Like do we need that? But yeah, God, I love this so much. I can't remember because it's been a few days what I've already said in this video, but I think I mentioned that this is really like filling in that gap of historical fiction for me because I've not read any for a while. The romance in this was so good, just everything, the vibes immaculate, just obsessed. If it wasn't for the ending this would have been an easy 5-star, 6-star read, one of the best books I've ever read, and I still think of it very very fondly. Like I loved it so much. It was just the ending, but again my opinion on that could have very easily changed when I end up reading Ruthless Vows in the next couple of weeks. We'll see how the story kind of progresses in there and how it goes, but yeah, this is so good. I was worried I wouldn't like it because everyone says it's like a bit slower. It's not that kind of, it's not a typical fantasy. It's not slow though, it's just different. It's not that super high stakes, we're going into like battle. It is about war, but like it just feels more real even though it's still fantasy. It feels a lot more grounded in reality and it just feels different, but I loved that about this. So yeah, don't be put off if you've heard people say like it's a bit slower, it's a bit different. Don't be put off. I was so completely enthralled by this book. It's just in a different way than books like Powerless, for example. But yeah, so a little recap. Powerless I gave 4 stars. Really enjoyed, it was really fun. It just lacked a bit of that kind of tension and emotion for me. I just didn't really feel as much as I expected to whilst I was reading it, but I'm still very excited to carry on with the series. And Divine Rivals, 4.5 stars. Obsessed. Loved it so much. Thank you so much for watching this video. I do apologise by the way that there were no clips of me like sat reading. It's just been me sat down talking to you about the books. I try and avoid that, but unfortunately I was reading these books in the evening after work or listening to them on audio, so there just wasn't anything to film because either I was sat reading it physically but the lighting was rubbish, or I was just listening to it on audio like driving and like there's nothing to film. So I am sorry about that. I'm just having to listen to audiobooks at the minute to fit reading in around my new job. But yeah, thank you so much for watching this video. If you did enjoy it, please give it a thumbs up down below. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!